Everybody can do this business. Recording in progress. Hey, everybody. Now I need to get rid of that screen so I can see everybody. Hey, it's Mark Harris. I am coming in live from the Tampa Bay area tonight, St. Pete, where we're staying with a consultant couple friends of ours down here for a couple days. And tonight we're privileged to have one of our executive consultants presenting what we believe is the opportunity of a lifetime. My wife and I came from a missionary background, serving overseas for a long, long time. Had two of our kids overseas, and we hit the housing market collapse in 2006, 2007. Some of you know what that feels like. We came back to the States and ended up getting a job at JOB, which is just over broke. We bought a foreclosure in Lee Summit, Missouri, close to my in-laws, and we weren't making it. Famously, some of you know that story, and I ended up working in an orange apron at Home Depot as a kitchen designer for 4 years, 4 months, and 4 days. And it was during that season that my mother-in-law was the trusted messenger that brought this information our way. And we believe that information is even more valid today than it was when we first heard it a few years ago. It has meant replacement income for my wife and me, and then some. It has meant a return to do the things that we love to do, namely bring transformation to the lives of everybody we meet, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, relationally, just about any way you can think of. And the information you're going to get tonight from Chris is part of that really that transformational message that my mother-in-law brought to us. Heard about a new technology, a disruptive technology called nutrigenomics. We didn't know that word 16 years ago. Now it's becoming a buzzword in health and wellness, and you are at the cutting edge of that revolution tonight. So I'll be back here in a few minutes to wrap up with some thoughts about moving forward with the information that Chris brings tonight. But I would be remiss if I took too much time on the front end here. So it's my distinct privilege to introduce my friend, a fellow business partner, a mentor of mine, just a good guy all around, a great leader, Mr. Chris Smith from Liberty, Utah. Chris, I'm gonna turn it over to you,
Yes.
brother. What you got?
Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate that introduction. I see you in all the same ways. And you and I met in a very unlikely way through an industry we get to talk about tonight that neither of us had any experience into, kind of fell backwards into. And I think we're both grateful at this point that we did. And my friend Mark is going to wrap up tonight with to, I guess, answer a few questions. If someone's looking to move forward and actually take action on this information, there will be a little call to action, decision to make. I think we all did. Any of us who sit in this seat after seeing this information, even for the first time, um, then Mark will be able to kind of, I think, point in the direction of questions I had around what I would be doing. But to share some of my background that put me in this seat, talking about an opportunity with a company in an industry I knew nothing about. My background, my working background, I always looked at it was in two phases. Uh, my first phase of my working background, there was a lot of purpose involved in it. I had a lot of fun, but it was an area where my talents kind of met some needs in the world, working with helping people that fell down on a mountain or fell down a mountain and helping them either get off the mountain or out of the mountains, whatever that situation looked like. Basically, like someone who would work out of an ambulance. But not having the ambulance available, having to kind of get people out in other ways. So very fulfilling, but that part of my working career kind of had a financial ceiling on it. I think like all do when you have to punch a time clock for what you do. But that one was just too low to really have any kind of future. So the second phase of my working career is when I had a family and I had built up a little business in construction, building homes and additions and these kinds of things, and small business owner type stuff. And that had a lot more financial, I think, security and a better predictable future to it financially than my prior career. but eventually not as much purpose attached to it. It was, ends up being like assembly line work, trying to stick to budgets and calendars, and that's how business works. um, Ran into a few problems with something I thought was really stable. One was that in 2012, my wife and I find ourselves with our 2-year-old daughter, and my wife is just going back to work after getting, Rose up to the age of 2, and she had her own business and massage therapy office. And I was working hard in construction, and I already wasn't really participating in my family's life. And we were looking at putting Rose in some kind of a daycare before, she moved into school in a couple of years. And I already didn't like that scenario of paying someone else to kind of raise our child. That just didn't, something about that seemed a little off. I wanted to do something about that, but just couldn't really make any kind of transition around anything I think thought I could make any money with. Hence, we're going to hear about what Mark said was what we believe is and know is an opportunity of a lifetime. And I'm going to lay that out. But so I was actually kind of looking for something like that, even maybe smaller scale. The second problem I ran into after having this like epiphany about where my life was going and not being able to participate in my family's life was I felt really ill, got really sick, and they didn't know what I had for a little while, so they're testing me for all kinds of bad diseases, but put me in this mindset of really prioritizing what was important and maybe my health and being just around for my family, not necessarily how I provided. And that kind of put me in this mindset of when I saw those two things combined, this company, this opportunity, what they have their hands on, um, I started moving towards, I think I'm going to take action. And I think part of that action is going to be partnering with this company to move it forward. Again, not something I understood as a complete picture the very first time I saw this information. But as I round out this brief presentation tonight, before I hand it over to Mark, I'll kind of complete that story. How I had seen this information, and then the final pieces of the puzzle fell together sometime later to actually put me in this seat right now. But tonight we're going to talk about inside of an opportunity of a lifetime, the chance to partner with a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ. That company is in the space of network marketing, hence our opportunity, regular people, to partner with this company on a really high level. That partnership could look like earning a position where you could get a piece of the global revenue of this company as it expands globally for the life of this company. That to me was one of several things that got my attention. So with that, I'm going to share a few slides that lay out for me some bullet points of some compelling reasons about why someone would want to either join this company right now, would want to join this company right now ahead of some other opportunities um, that are out there, and why someone would even want to, yeah, invest any time at all, even if they're not exploring anything outside of their job. Why would they want to put that effort into something like this? I think it has to check some boxes for me. Part of that is a pretty precise vetting formula, I guess, come up by really smart economists, right? These guys thought this up over many, many, many decades, but I've been able to apply it to things, mostly to things I've kind of missed in the past. Some I participated in, but with that, I'm going to do this screen share. Screen sharing will stop others from sharing their sound. Do you want to continue? I think I can without really impeding what's going on here this evening. And with that, I want to center this around a discussion around timing. But the rest of these components are very important as well. But I think anyone can agree if we use Apple Computer. Probably the biggest company on the whole planet, worth trillions of dollars. People can kind of understand it because it went from someone's garage to what they are now in like half of a lifetime. So a lot of people have kind of witnessed Apple's climb, and I think we can all agree as a timing component to make money with Apple, if you had $1,000 in your hand, it would be a lot better to also have a time machine so you can invest that $1,000 back in 1978 or 1979. It would yield a much exponentially much larger return than $1,000 now, which if they have a good year might be worth $1,112 next year, as opposed to billions of dollars if you had the time machine. So we know timing's important. It's just really tough to forecast, but there's a few things you can look at in this industry. I'm going to talk about that in just a few minutes here. An industry I didn't understand, but there's a few metrics you can measure with timing to do that. Um, the reason I see timing is the most important component. It's a window thing, and I'll talk about the others real quick. Why I think they're important. Um, Early's good, like with Apple, but that time machine would allow you some knowledge about where they are today and all this stuff. There's a lot of places, probably in 1978, to put your money into future technologies. A lot of things have a 95% failure rate, a huge amount in the first 5 years, and then over the next five after that. You know, 95% of all ventures across all kinds of different industries. And it's just really has to do with these factors on top that they're not lined up with that. But over time, usually more than a decade, some companies will sort themselves out, having some of these factors that are at the top of the screen in place, and they'll go through this momentum phase where huge amount of the whole economic platform of the company is built, and we hear all the stories. Only a few investors across many industries capitalize on that. It's because they can recognize this economic formula. And then there's a too late, at least to make a massive amount of have a massive amount of growth on your investment or your time investment, your financial investment. So timing's important, but more importantly, where that timing's positioned is there growth potential ahead of you. Now, what makes up that lightning bolt moment? Well, a few things. A solid company with some predictable trajectory of success, mainly transparency. So an investor or someone who's going to partner with the company can check the boxes for themselves. Okay. So I think transparency is probably at least the number one. So you don't just have to believe someone, you can vet a lot of information about what boxes would you like to check with the company you're going to partner with. I like this one, publicly traded on the NASDAQ, a lot of transparency from many angles. Products, if I'm going to get involved in something, that product or service, whatever it is, you can apply this anyway, needs to be unique and significant. I mean, if it could be exclusive, that would be awesome. No competition. Timing, I just talked about why that's important. Probably the most important if you really want your time and effort to really be worth something. And you're learning about this company at the right time. Hence, what we know is an opportunity of a lifetime for people when you understand this industry and what this company has its hands on. Trends, this is simply being ahead of where other people want to be and getting there first. And right now, economically, I think a lot of people are looking for opportunities to make more money, to get ahead of where the economy is trending on them, with inflation outpacing wages last month. So, or what your product or service, you can think about trends from that standpoint. You're repping, pizza. Is it trending that people are going to spend their money on pizza, long term, or iPads? And then the last two boxes for me personally are, yeah, compensation. Would this be worth my time based on being a busy person and already not spending enough time with my family. There had to be some kind of end game. And for me, that was about exploring building an asset, not just another opportunity where I would just trade time for money, but trade my time for actually building an asset that accumulates and gets larger over time and has a bigger return. That to me sounds like something that's worth it. And then the next box that would be checked in that, those final two things, would this be worth my time and could I do it? Representing this company, telling you this story I'm going to tell you tonight. I had a group of people that, more importantly, was mentorship, part of a system, but um, business partners that actually said, "Hey, we'll help you and your wife figure this thing out." And they're still our partners today, still working with us side by side. Mark is one of those people in it for the long haul. So a system of mentorship. So I'm going to go through and just show how these boxes were checked for me. Publicly traded company on the NASDAQ. I saw this back in 2012. Um, the company didn't look as solid back then, but just in the last few years, asked to ring the closing bell down on Wall Street twice because of basically our company's performance. So that's pretty awesome. Transparency, again, a big thing, but not just that. When you start peeling this thing back, a lot of great stuff about this company. Now, where did we come from to get here? A company that's just starting its global expansion, publicly traded on the NASDAQ. Well, it was a biotech company and they formulate this natural product. To me, it looked like a supplement, like a vitamin you take every day or a natural pill. And it was on the store shelves at GNC and Rite Aid and Vitamin Shop. And no one was really buying enough of it to keep the company afloat. They were losing about $1 million a year. And ABC News comes in, this is back in 2005, to investigate this, I think after a Wall Street Journal report. And they do this 8-minute expose, but it actually endorses the product. It says it lowers this condition of garbage in people's blood, represented on that graph. And people went berserk. They went crazy and bought this product and cleared the store shelves with it. And it caused a few problems for the company. Mainly, they didn't have the infrastructure built and the right people in the right seats, hence checking that box of the company. At the time, that box really wasn't fully checked. And the guys that were at the helm, well, they didn't really recognize what kind of just flood of interest was going to be created by this news report, and that the news report was going to drop in like less than 2 weeks. I mean, no time to produce more product when they had only been putting out a small amount of it for 2 years at that point. So this goes in torpedoes the company basically, and they limp along. They try to do a few other things, but in 2009, this is literally like to use a sports analogy, a Hail Mary in the fourth quarter of the football game. This interim CEO, he pitches to them going into this model, direct sales, where we can tell this story and share with people this news report, this third party validation endorsing our technology and what it does. And this guy was right. It rescued the company that was losing $1 million a year, maybe 3 or 4 million in sales, quickly doubling those sales year over year. My wife and I were introduced to this company when they were right in the middle of that run. Mark, who opened the call tonight, was kind of in there right in the early days when the company was kind of on even more of a shaky footing. But we've now brought the company to where it's over 200 million in sales, starting to globally expand, off of this continent into more than, 20 countries right now. I think they were in 3 when I heard about this. And just gaining a lot of traction just based on changing the sales model, going back to education and sharing with people why this technology is different. And at the core of that is this, something that people are familiar with, antioxidants. They don't work for a few different reasons, but our own body which is outlined in this news report, works just, more than a million times better than anything you can put in it. Meaning this, a single molecule of our own enzymes, which is what our product does, it gets you to make your own enzymes, sweeps up a million pieces of garbage in 1 second, and does it over and over. On the left side is the stuff they thought used to get this garbage, and there's some math in there that makes sense that it could. But when you really get down to it, just to get a million pieces of garbage, I'll take one of those things, for example, those compounds would be vitamin C. It would take 120 vitamin C tablets to do that, something one of your own enzymes does over and over and over, right? That's a toxic dose of vitamin C. It would kill someone. So it's just not even effective. It's like literally the best analogy I've heard is there's a house fire. The stuff on the left, the foods they thought that would do it, it's like throwing a Dixie cup of water on the house fire. Our own enzyme systems are like turning on sprinkler systems in every room of the structure to suppress the fire. And that's what our own body does. And that's what makes our product fundamentally different. It turns on your own body. That's what our whole product line up to this point, it goes beyond that flagship product, is based on. But we have a whole portfolio of products, and it's backed up by independent research, journal research, PubMed.gov. This is kind of like a Google for doctors, but what comes up is just a search engine. And the product that was in the news report, I found out, had multiple studies at the time and probably has 30 now on that one product. Other people spending their money on this concept of, wow, turning your body's own ability to heal itself basically on, never been done before, through our genetics with natural compounds, just acting basically like a key. And we have patents on those keys, a whole portfolio of patents actually on all our products. So in understanding this industry, I was like, I'm sold on the product initially, but I didn't understand the industry. And I kind of passed on the business opportunity, and started taking the product. But later, I kind of wanted to learn about the industry. And here's what I found out. These legacy companies in the industry of direct sales, network marketing, some of them sell things you can get at Costco and Walmart. They do $5 to $9 billion in sales a year. We're about 200 million, 30, 40, 50 times larger than our company. I was wondering about how did those companies get to where they are now and what was that growth point? And it was generally about 20 years in business to sort themselves out from the companies that were just going to flail and just crash and burn. And they had made it past their initial market here in the United States and started to globally expand, generally into a couple, dozen countries or so, 20 countries, $200 million or so, maybe 400 million in sales. And the important tipping point was the number of consultants, the number of voices, and that could have been around 300,000 people worldwide. And LifeVantages were certainly under 60,000, maybe under 60,000 here in the United States. I don't know the numbers from our last earning call, but that's the opportunity of a lifetime. Not enough voices yet, but a company that we know is going to go the distance in comparison to a lot of those other, what we call legacy companies that have been around for 50, 60, 70, 80 years. And I had to do my homework to figure out why have they been around so long and what was the kind of magic formula that got them to where they are. But who really capitalized? The people who got in really at the end of that pioneering phase and saw the vision, caught the vision of where these companies were going. And you sit perfectly positioned to hear about this. It's the timing you get to leverage around those other factors that make this a real opportunity. Now, how do we make money in this company? Well, it's really simple. I didn't understand the industry. It's based on repeated sales of product. Okay, so if there's customers, someone gets paid. And here's what happened to me, and wanting to even understand this part of it is I said no thanks to the business opportunity. I really didn't want to, drill down on the industry of network marketing, but the product per tandem in the news report was really fascinating to me. So I started taking it, and I had a life-changing result, something nothing else had been able to do for me. I felt the power of like turning on my own body and what that could mean at the age of 42 at the time, with kind of, some stuff I had going on for a while, quite some time, for 9 years, actually, and had tried a lot. So that for me kind of sealed it up like unique and significant, having a high impact. I'm like, I'm never going to go off this stuff. Then I start wanting to understand this because a light bulb goes off. Wow, they get paid for having customers reorder product. A whole group of people that do this as, in a partnership. That's interesting because I'm going to take this stuff till the day I die. High impact product for me. What else? What other products do you have? Was my next question. Um, that's powerful, I thought. What else does this company have going on? Because this is very interesting. If they haven't built their customer base yet, I might want to be part of this. So actually building a team, helping other people learn how to talk about this, like Mark did for me and my wife, among others, and helped our group as we build do that. Develop other leaders in the company, people who are willing to teach other folks. Again, getting a hand up the ladder from some of my mentors to be able to do that. I really didn't walk into this being able to do that, but people get paid for that, developing leadership in the company. And as I discussed before, getting paid on what the company's already done, that means you could earn a position where you get a piece of all the global revenue of this company, everything that's been built to this point, a few dozen countries, you get a slice of that pie, even if you're walking in today. Now, what can we demonstrate that looks like for people? Well, every year we put out a document that looks like this. I know it has a ton of numbers. We don't have to go through all these numbers right now, but this document has a lot of information. And what's important is this goes back to the transparency of us being a public company. We like to put out how those commissions that the company pays out to all of us here in the field are dispersed every year, so people can have an idea of what kind of money they could actually make if they were going to invest any time in this for the next 2 to 5 years to help drive this company from 200 million to $500 million a year in sales and $1 billion a year, and what that could mean for your family. If you want to make a few $100s a month, we have a plan for that, and that's a leveraged income that comes in month over month. And a few $100s a month can save a family from bankruptcy, and a lot of those are caused by medical bills. Happened to my family. That medical crisis I told you about when I got really, really sick, even though I had good medical insurance, we kind of got cleaned out by a few months of hospital visits because of that. This few $100s could rescue a lot of families from that. Very important, but a plan to make a few $1,000s a month, very doable. And to make tens of thousands of dollars a month, like income replacing, bringing someone home so they can actually participate in their family's life, participate in raising their own kids. That is possible for people like Mark with no experience in this industry, for people like my wife and myself with no experience in this industry to actually do that. And it's because all those factors I talked about in the beginning just line up. Now, as this company has done well, we go out in the world and do good. And these are just a few of the organizations we've been able to go out and help in the years that we've been actually making money and can put our time and effort and funds into some of these organizations. But this is a company with some heart. That mentorship I told you about, These are outstanding people that I wouldn't have been partnered with since 2012, if not otherwise, and all those other things lining up. So here's what we got in summation: publicly traded company, full transparency. I don't have to tell you that this, and all these things are boxes that are checked. You can go check this out for yourself. That's really unique in this industry. Scientifically validated products, patents, unique, significant, high impact. These are things you need to line up to have a good business opportunity. Growth potential. There's a lot of it ahead of you when you really understand this industry and what the ceiling is and where this company is and where it's going. Best compensation plan in this industry, bar none, absolutely. And we'd love to discuss that if that's where someone's mindset is tonight. And a culture of mentorship and collaboration. If there's any question about, can I figure this out? Can I participate in this opportunity? There is a system and there are people to plug into that will show you how to leverage that system to get your goals wherever they need to be in that. So, with this, you have a few decisions to make. And it was put this way to me in making that decision about deciding whether or not I was going to move forward. And I told you I actually didn't. I said, no, thank you. But per tandem is very interesting. But what was thrown out there to me was this is, hey, that's cool if you don't want to participate and tell anyone about this. But somehow our network found you and we're able to put you in that seat today to hear that information. And we definitely intend to and will find the people in your network and share this with them. And at the time, again, not understanding the product, I thought that was all fine and well. But after understanding that and what the opportunity was, I actually started to get a little scared that that network they were talking about was going to find the people I knew, was going to find the people that I did want to tell about this, maybe just purely for the health reasons. And maybe I did want to capitalize on this business opportunity that my wife had been telling me the whole time that I should have been involved in, from that very, very first meeting. She kind of saw it in Technicolor and where everything was going. I am forever grateful she was sitting next to me at that meeting. I'm grateful for people like Mark who got involved to rescue the company when it was on really shaky ground, and how those voices led from the people like Mark that were at that transition phase I talked about, that led all the way to me and my wife. And hopefully, some of these voices are reaching you tonight so you can make your own decision about what you want to do with this information. So, with that, I'm going to hand this over to my good friend, my business partner, to wrap this whole thing up tonight for people who want to take this to the next level. Mark, back over to you in Florida.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Yeah, so let me bounce this back to you. So, knowing what you know, Chris, everything we've seen since you first joined this business, what would be your recommendation for people, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10? Somebody has heard a little bit about this, or they know the person that shared this with them. They've seen the ABC primetime investigative report, perhaps. What you're saying makes sense. What would you recommend people do? What's their next step to take after hearing you?
After hearing me, I think if they're not ready to enroll, because my wife was after seeing that initial information, I think the next question, kind of like you had alluded to with wearing the orange apron and where I was in construction, asking themselves the hard question: if they're not where they want to be in their life and they're not on a trajectory to get them where they're going, if this isn't good enough, then what is it? And if
Mm.
not, how long are they willing to wait for that next opportunity, but to potentially even come across their desk, if at all? Because statistically, we know it doesn't. So we do know opportunities of a lifetime don't show up often. And I would say it's really important to make a decision on this thing because of where we're positioned right now. As I opened with, there's got to be a compelling reason to do this right now, and I believe there
Yeah.
there really is.
Yeah, I think that's a good word. We did not come from a business background. We weren't entrepreneurial in that sense, and we almost missed it. I thought it was about a product, and I needed the product for sure, but I did not grasp what a disruptive technology could do in the business world. I did not understand what blue ocean opportunity meant, like not to have a not me too product that was proprietary, that was scientifically validated, with this kind of mentorship and support with a publicly traded company. I just didn't get it. And so thank God, my mother-in-law got it before I did and actually loaned us the money. Thank you, Chris. And y'all, Chris will be around for questions if y'all want to just type something in the chat, or if you know Chris or Sarah, I mean, you've got his number. I'm sure he's happy to answer those both online and offline. I've got a couple things that I want to share, a peek behind the curtain tonight before we close. If this is for you, or if this is something that you're strongly considering, I want to share with you how this actually, how to move forward with this, what we do, and how the person that invited you tonight is willing to support you in launching this business. You know, the average cost of a startup in the United States these days, I think last year was average about $82,000. My question for you was, if you were to start that business with no leverage, coin operated, showing up, trading time for dollars, how long do you think it would take you to lose heart in that business? I call it the IQ quotient, the I quit quotient for somebody starting a new business. 90% of all new businesses fail. We know that. But again, a lot of people starting a business will take their life's inheritance, their life savings, and they will risk it on a new startup, a new idea, a new, Shark Tank kind of vision. The cool thing is that's already been done for you. No one's asking you for $80,000 tonight to launch out on your own in shark-infested waters. The cool thing is you are surrounded tonight by a cadre of leadership who has proven that this works in a $200 million company, publicly traded on the NASDAQ, with more scientific validation than any natural product and technology has ever received, to do something that nothing in 6,000 years of recorded history has ever been able to do. That is, namely, to reduce oxidative stress, the cause, biochemical cause of aging and disease. And we have the people who have shown and made a path for us to have success in this business that, fair enough, has been around 160 years. The network marketing business, MLM, we're reframing that as a micro franchising opportunity because it is. This ain't your mama's Avon. This is not your mama's Tupperware. Nothing wrong with those companies. But that world has evolved, and people are looking for a side hustle with the potential of creating generational wealth and a financial engine around leveraged income. And there aren't a lot of places you can do that anymore. So I just want to share some things that we do as a support team to get new people launched the right way. And we use that term intentionally. You got to go full throttle if you're going to launch, because there's a lot of friction and a lot of obstacles that you need to clear to get off the runway or get off the launch pad, to extend the metaphor. But again, this is a business, and I want to speak explicitly to the business-minded people tonight. Nothing wrong with our products. Awesome. We love customers, raving fans. We love them. But for the person who sees this as a business opportunity, professional business opportunity, this business will treat you like a profession and reward you handsomely with leveraged income. This is not get rich quick, but it is get rich better and feasibly, right? We normally ask people why they would want to do this because there is a stigma behind just about every business. Unfortunately, network marketing has been done as poorly as it has been done well. One of the reasons we love LifeVantage is because the reasons that Chris articulated so well. We love this company. We love this culture. We believe in doing this the right way with the right heart to help people, right? And some people just don't get that. So this is not for them until they start taking Protandim and get their mind right. And they're like, oh, yeah, I get that now. So there are some income creating activities that we really highlight. A lot of times, the first day you join something like this, you enroll and launch your business, is the day you're most excited, right? There's lots of vision and belief, and thank you, Lord. I've been praying for something like this. This has got to be it. But it's also a lot of times the day that the new consultant is the most afraid, the most scared. because it's new. We never done it before. We never contacted our friends and family for something like this. They're not entrepreneurs. We weren't entrepreneurs, right? So we don't do this alone. And we would encourage you not to do that alone. So we don't. We say, here's what we do next. We're going to start inviting people. Would you like to make some money right now? Would you like to get your money back right now? Sure. Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to put you on the phone with our support team, with my enroller, and I'm going to put you on the phone with Chris or Rob or Sarah or Candy or somebody, and I'm going to introduce you to them and tell them how awesome you are, and you're going to learn how awesome they are, and that we're going to all do this together. That's one of the reasons we love this Building Depth Leadership team. Then we're going to start reaching out to our friends and family. Hey, what are you doing at 7 o'clock tonight? I just came across some information that's going to blow your mind. And if you see what I see, we can do this together, and we're going to change the world. You in? Things like that, right? And then we set up those invitations. We're going to do three things on day one. And day one is not a day on the calendar. Day one is today. Day one is right now, right? We're going to introduce you to a system that's going to yield success. Again, you don't do this on your own, right? We're going to lock your calendar. We're going to get our next events on your calendar and make it priority and non-negotiable if you're going to do this business. Our Building Depth event is coming up in, gosh, a little under 2 weeks now. Is it 2 weeks? June 12th and 13th in St. George, Utah. People that are not yet in this company will find a way to get to Building Depth in St. George, and they will succeed. Those are the kind of people that we're looking for. It's not the easiest place to find on the map. Even it's not the easiest place to get to, but people who appreciate the remarkable opportunity that this is, and they see the chance, as Chris said, to take advantage of an opportunity of a lifetime. We want to recommend highly that you make that a priority to attend all events as if they're non-negotiable, to find a way to set some attainable goals for your inputs, the things that are building your income. And those are inviting your friends and family, contacts, people you meet on the street, people that are open and looking and praying, to a call, to a presentation, to a time in your home, to a time at a coffee shop that you guys can get together and share this information and share your story. Man, this is my background. It was terrible, but I found something. And if you are open, man, I think we could do this together and really crush it. Those goals, maybe it's 10 invitations, maybe it's 10 phone calls, maybe it's 20 phone calls this week. It's the end of the month. Some people that join tonight could actually rank several times, achieve several rank advancements before the end of the month if you'll follow these really easy steps. Um, the job of your enroller is to create a really clear picture for you, to identify your why you're doing this, and then the actionable steps to help you achieve success in this industry. I will tell you this: we have a mantra, we have a saying in this group that we marry the activity and we divorce the results. We marry the process, right? And what you will find is you and I and Chris and some of the other leaders on this phone call, we're not the only idiots here. There are other people just like us that are hurting, that come from many different backgrounds, that are looking for something like this. And if you are bold enough, you're brave enough, if you have the temerity and compassion to reach out to the people that are in your network right now, in your phone, the hundreds or maybe thousands of people in your phone, there is a large percentage in that group who fall into that category. They are looking, they are praying, they are open. You just have to go through the nose. The people that aren't looking, the people that are closed, the people that are not praying, the people that are falsely, delusionally content with where they are. And I say that sort of tongue in cheek. A lot of people really like what they do, but not most, right? Not most people. So, a couple other thoughts before we close the call. I will warn you if you decide to do this with us tonight, or if perhaps you're brand new, there is uh, a productive procrastination activity. We call it jumping in the weeds. That is not income creating, but it feels good. It feels like you're building your business. You're doing loads of product research, and there's loads of product research to be done. We've got 20 something, 30, I don't know how many peer-reviewed studies on PubMed.gov, and it's all great stuff. But if you spend your time focused on that material, it will take you a long time to get through. You'll probably need a PhD or an MD, to appreciate all of it. If you're interested in that, send it upstream to your MD. Let him look over it. But do not waste your time printing business cards or handing out flyers or setting up an LLC or opening a booth in the local market. Don't do any of that. Just do the things that your enroller, your sponsor is encouraging you to do. And that is reach out, open your mouth, and start having conversations. Because a good conversation beats a great presentation every time. This is not about mastery. This is about practice and the clarity that you will receive that we've, gained from these leaders that are on these calls. They didn't know what they were. We didn't know what we were doing first day, first week, first month, maybe first year. That clarity came as we actually practiced these behaviors and these principles. We learned that 15 presentations a month or more is actually a threshold. Like you will actually start to see the needle move in converting no's into yeses and converting people to transformational trajectories just by showing up 15 times or more a month. I will tell you this, the people that have massive success in LifeVantage in this profession do massive amounts of inviting, massive amounts of presentations, and you learn to share your story, the company story, and how we get paid, just like Chris did tonight, in as efficient a way as possible. A couple more things before we close. I had made some notes here, so forgive me for looking down. Um, Follow up. This is the part that most people don't appreciate, and they don't because they're still nervous because their friend didn't give them a resounding yes to their invitation. Sometimes they get a little spooked, and they might move on from someone they've already had a conversation with. Don't make that mistake. The average person takes about 7 times to follow up with before they're ready to make a decision. So our job in exposing this information is to consistently and compassionately revisit that conversation until that person is ready to make a decision. And once they make a decision, that, for me, a no is just temporary because life changes. Life is going to continue to life on that person. And I think we found the best tool of transformation there is right now. And so inevitably, that situation will change, and that no quite often becomes a yes. So following up is the key to helping people see clearly what they have in front of them. A lot of people will not understand the ABC Primetime Investigative Report when they see it. An entrepreneur will see it. You don't have to tell an entrepreneur what that means, right? Even though it's several years old, they get it, right? And at some point, the light bulbs start coming on. Maybe it's an event. I think that's one of our greatest recruiting tools is to bring people, put them in the room, and let them see how weird we are. And by that, I mean remarkable. The happy people, the smiling people, the people of belief, the people of vision, the people of hope. And that, my friends, is a rare commodity. So maybe one more thing here. I know we're coming up on the top of the hour, and I want to return the time to you. So we're installing a system, a proven system. We call it building depth. That's classic network marketing that we're looking down as our teams grow. We're finding the people that want this like we do. Now, you're going to find a lot of people between you and your next leader, perhaps, that love our products and they love coming to a training event. They love getting on these calls. But every now and then, there are people that show up in your organization that are actually willing to do what you are doing. They're willing to commit. They're willing to decide. They're willing to put in the daily action, the income creating activities. And those are the people that we're looking for. Those are the people that need mentorship and support. And those are the people, frankly, that we try to encourage and affirm. We pay attention to their challenges. We pay attention to their activity. We pay attention to their questions, to their attendance. And I will tell you this, the best phone call I can get from somebody like that is when my phone rings and somebody like Cynthia Bryant, who's on the phone, who's on the call tonight, calls me up and says something like, "Hey, Mark, tell me something good." 'Cause I need to hear something good. I then become the chief encouragement officer of my team. And that to me makes us bulletproof because precisely because we're doing this together, precisely because I've answered all the no's. I am bulletproof not only on the product, but also the business, on the industry of network marketing, on our company. I can help those people that are having that are still standing on shaky emotional or mental ground, as Chris referred to us in the first few years of LifeVantage. And we all need that. We all need that sense of encouragement and support. And I got you. And again, I'm not going to leave you. And that's the last thing I'll mention. If you enroll someone in this amazing business opportunity, I believe we have a moral obligation to stay with them. In our Building Depth workbooks, you'll see those in Building Depth if you come in a couple weeks. There's a place in the workbook for a signature, the enrollers and the enrollees, the new consultants. That to me, when I sign that with a new consultant, I'm telling them I'm not going to leave you. You are not going to do this alone. And if you want to make a real go of generational wealth for your children and your children's children, I will help you do that. And the people that you see standing in the front of this room are going to help you do that. And that too is a rare thing. So that is, we call that onboarding. We help people move forward with those income creating activities. And I would just say the last thing that was really practical advice for me, and I'll share it with you, is I had a piece of paper. I did not have 500 names on my piece of paper. I might have had 30. At some point, I had 50. And I just carefully wrote down the people that I wanted to work with, like a dream team of all the people that I loved, that I knew, that I respected for one reason or another. And I thought, man, these people would be awesome if we got to do this together. Not only would they be awesome business leaders, this would be a heck of a lot of fun because these are awesome people. I put those people on a list and I put it on my side table beside my recliner where I did my morning devotionals. And I prayed through that list every day. And I just, my prayer was, Lord, I'm not smart enough to know who needs this. I'm not even smart enough to know how to do this. But is there somebody on this list that I need to reach out to this morning and see if they're open? There's a call tonight at 7 o'clock. I'm going to invite them to that call. And we just did that for 2 years and we have replacement income after one. Results not typical. But we had a dear family friend that said, we told her we were joining LifeVantage and she had done another network marketing company and was very successful in that company and had actually tried to get us into that company years before. Called her up, family friend, and we
Is it about
said,
the trips? Is it?
hey, why don't you
Did you
move
find?
there? Oh, I got you. Thank you. We said, hey, we joined LifeVantage. She said, hey, that's great. And Krista, my wife, she said, yeah, we just need to create some extra income. And if I'm not making an extra $500 a month here in the next 30, 60 days, we'll probably quit and do something else. And our family friend wisely said, Krista, listen to me. You will not. You will either do this for the next 2 years or you won't do it. Because we always taught that the first year in your network marketing profession, you are planting seeds. Do not look up from the plow. You got to keep planting seeds. The second year, you can expect a harvest if you'll keep that approach. So we're in this for the long haul. We're in this for a 3 to 5 year plan to create generational wealth for your children and your children's children through leveraged income with a publicly traded company with a disruptive technology that's got more scientific validation than anybody on the planet. If that sounds good to you, we want to ask you to join us. Y'all help me thank Chris Smith for an excellent opportunity presentation tonight in the chat. Give him some love. We'll be on here. We on a call next week? Yeah, I think we do have a call next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Love you guys. Well done. Appreciate you showing up tonight. Join us. If you're not with us, join us. Love to have you. With that, this call's in the books. Love you guys. Bye for now.